get up and move around?
I stayed there. I didn't want to lose my seat. Like I said, surprisingly, it was open. I mean, because it was crowded in there, but I was shocked that that seat was open.
By the time the lights go down for the previews, is the theater packed?
Yes, very.
Any open seats that you're aware of?
No, I looked behind me and there was none.
So did you get to see that trailer you were hoping for?
I did. I was excited for a little bit.
Kind of cool?
Yeah.
So the movie starts. What's the first thing that happens that strikes you as out of the ordinary?
I can't say anything, really. Nothing until I'd say about the 10 or 15 minute mark.
Tell us what happens at about the 10 or 15 minute mark.
Well, I heard a popping sound. I didn't really pay any attention to it but it was definitely distinct from the movie, from what I heard. And then I could see smoke hovering over, but I didn't pay any attention to that either. It wasn't until I heard a bang, and then there was some screams coming from behind me. Then I heard another one, and then I finally looked behind me, and I saw people running, people screaming, and so that's when I looked to try to find where it was coming from. And I looked down, and it was coming from right under the screen, the right side, by the exit sign.
Let's get there in just a moment. I want to back up a little bit, okay? You said you heard a popping sound.
Mm-hmm.
Where, if this is the screen, can you point to where you think that popping sound was?
I couldn't tell.
Do you know what it sounded like when you say popping sound?
It was like a...
Okay, and I don't know how the court reporter's going to put that down. I don't know if we can say onomatopoeia.
It sounded like a can opening, I would say.
Okay. And then did that sound precede the smoke you just talked about?
Yes.
Did the smoke at all affect you, or was it just something you noticed visually?
No, it was something I noticed visually. It was just kind of hovering over the theater.
At that point, what's your brain telling you is going on?
I was saying something was going on, but I thought it was part of some type of something that the theater had arranged, because I had been in theaters in the past that when there was a big event, they had arranged some type of theatrics.
So at that point, were you scared at all?
No.
Okay. After the popping sound, after you noticed the smoke, you said you heard a different kind of noise. What was that?
It was a bang. I don't know how to describe other than it was just like a blast, but not a huge blast, but kind of contained.
At that point, did you know where that bang had come from?
No, I did not.
Are you scared yet?
No.
What happened after you heard the bang?
I looked back because I heard someone scream, and
Hold on a sec. What kind of scream?
It was like
403, 401.
overruled.
Go ahead, sir.
It was a scream like you'd hear in a scary movie. Someone jumps out and you see someone with a knife and it's ah.
Okay. Did that get your attention?
Yes, it did.
What happened then?
Like I said, I looked back, and then people started getting up and running to the left, and that's when I turned around to try to see where the bangs were coming from, and I found out that they were coming from the left side the right side of the theater. I saw someone in that corner.
Looking at this jury, as it's the screen, point to where the sound was coming from, those bangs that you identified.
The right side. The right side.
Right side of this jury, as you face them, their left?
Yeah.
How many bangs did you hear?
I heard 2 before I acted.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
You hear the 2 bangs. Are you scared now?
Yes, I am.
People are running
behind
you. How about the people next to you?
The people next to, I didn't pay any attention to them until I ran or tried to run.
Now tell us about that. You tried to run. Why couldn't you?
As soon as I got up, I turned to my left to run because I knew the shots were coming from the right side of me, so I turned to the left and tried to run, and I immediately stumbled over a person that was lying on the floor.
What were they doing?
They were just laying there, almost in a fetal position.
Do you ever remember that person moving during
No.
the rest of that evening?
No.
So you stumble, you fall. Are you on all fours? Are you on a knee? What's happening?
Objection to leading.
Overruled.
Go ahead, sir.
I fell to my knees at first. I felt the front part of my body was laying on top of that person, but I was on my knees to brace myself.
While that's happening, what's going on in the theater?
People are still running. I could see people running down the steps trying to get out the left side of the exit.
What are you hearing?
Just a bunch of screaming. There's still shots. Now the shots are rapid shots.
Do us a favor if you would. And I don't want you to use your voice for this. Could you use your hand and tap out on this wood, I presume it's wood, in front of you, how you heard the sounds coming in front of you?
The shots or the people?
Yes, sir, the shots. Thank
Okay.
you. And how long did it go on like that?
Probably for a few seconds until there was a brief pause.
What'd you do?
I looked for the shooter, and I saw him walking up that passageway. So then I nudged the person that was on the ground to see where they're going to move, and they weren't.
They respond to you at all?
No.
Hang on for just one moment, and we'll get back there, okay? You said you see the shooter. And you said it was down by that screen, remember? On
Yes.
the right? Is there something you can point to in this courtroom that is about the distance from where you think you were sitting to where that person was?
I would say that back there by the wall, by that, what's that thermostat?
Oh, yeah, okay. There's a thermostat back here about 4 rows from the back. I don't know what direction that is, Your Honor, but corner of the courtroom. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Tell us what he looked like, or what the shooter looked like to you.
I couldn't see. He was in the dark at the time. The only thing I could see was that he was wearing some type of headgear, but it was definitely dark. So I'm assuming that it was dark colored clothes.
Could you make out any weapons?
Not at the time
Okay.
when I initially saw him.
That's when you see him. Are you already on your knees kind of over the person you described to us?
When I first saw him, I was still in my chair. I didn't drop to my knees until I actually saw the shots fired from the gun.
Did that shooter stay out there?
Not for long. When I turned back to look at him again while I was on my knees, that's when he started moving towards me.
Okay. What are you doing as he's moving towards you?
Actually, before I look to see if he's moving toward me, I'm laying on top of the person, waiting for to stop some type of stoppage in the shooting. And then when there was the pause, I looked back at him, and that's when I saw him coming toward me.
He's moving towards you. Is he still shooting?
Yes, he started back, and he was shooting. It appeared that he was shooting above me, from where I was at.
Now, when you say above you, do you mean in the ceiling or to the people behind you?
To the people behind me.
As he's moving towards you, could you start to make out a little bit more about this shooter?
Yeah, I could definitely see the gas mask, the headgear, that he was dressed in some type of armor, not armor, but clothing armor.
Not like a knight.
Yeah.
Right. Could you see his weapon?
Yes.
What did it look like to you?
It looked like an automatic weapon. I couldn't tell you what exact kind it was.
The shooting that the shooter was engaged in as he's moving towards you, was it like you demonstrated here in front of us?
Yes.
What kind of pace is he setting as he's walking towards you?
It was slow. He's just a slow walk.
Didn't appear to be in any kind of rush.
No.
The form of the question calls for speculation.
Sustained.
As he's moving towards you, slowly, shooting the way you've described, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I need to get up and get out of here.
Are you in a position to do that?
No. I didn't want to trample over the person. I didn't know if they were dead or alive, so I didn't want to trample over them. And so I was trying to crawl past them, but they were blocking the entire row.
Does the shooter keep coming?
Yes.
What'd you do?
When I turned back around, after I nudged the person that was on the ground, I turned back to look where he was, and he was probably about 5 feet in front of me.
He being the shooter?
Yes.
Look, I know the words 5 feet, but I want you for this jury to point to something in this courtroom that is the distance that shooter got to you.
I would say this desk right here.
This desk that Miss Spengler's sitting at
Yes.
right here? The front edge of it?
Uh-huh.
When that shooter gets to this distance from you in that theater, what happens?
I thought to myself, I'm about to be shot. And so I tried to cover up my face, and that's when he shot me.
Now, at the time, how many times do you think you'd been shot?
At the time, I only thought I had been shot once.
That turns out to not be true.
No.
What'd it feel like?
My shoulder was hurting. That's the only thing I felt at the time. It was stinging, and I just knew that I had been shot in my shoulder.
What were you thinking?
I said, I'm about to die. I was laying there coughing up blood, but I was wondering why I was coughing up blood from just being shot in the shoulder.
Were you scared?
Yes.
403, 401, move to strike.
Overruled.
Were you scared?
Yes.
You're in this position. You know you've been shot. Can you see the shooter anymore?
No.
Do you hear shooting?
No.
What did you do?
I laid there. I don't remember how long I laid there,
Why?
but
Why'd you do that?
because I was playing like I was dead. I wanted to make sure that he was gone before I attempted to get up if I could.
Did you think he was gone at some point?
I did. And honestly, I didn't care once I got up. I just knew that I could get up.
Where'd you go?
I went back out the exit that I came.
Do you remember seeing how the theater looked as you were running out of there?
Correction, 403, 401.
Overruled.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I did not. The only thing I could hear the sirens going off. I knew the movie had stopped, but that was it.
Did you ever see that shooter again?
No, I did not.
Did you know when you turned to run whether you were going to where the shooter had gone or not?
No, I did not know. I didn't know if he had gone out the way I was gonna go, or did he go back out the exit that he came in.
What was the way you went, sir?
I went out the right-hand side as you're facing the screen, which was the way I came in.
Did you get back to the lobby?
Yes, I did.
And then what?
I was met by a police officer, and he escorted me out of the theater.
You end up going to the hospital and get treated?
Yes.
Before you got to the theater that day, were all your appendages and everything working the way they were supposed to on your body?
Yes.
After you left the theater in the early morning hours of July 20th, were they all working the way they were supposed to?
No.
I want you to tell us what injuries you sustained in that theater.
My scapula was shattered, and I have nerve damage.
Tell us about the nerve damage.
It's caused drop foot syndrome, and I can't lift my foot to walk naturally without help, or I have to lift my leg higher off the ground to walk.
Is that forever?
Yes.
403, 401, move to strike.
Overruled.
Go ahead,
It goes to the nature of the injury, the character, nature, and extent of the injury.
apologize, Your Honor. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I was. The doctor told me that I should see.
Excuse me, hearsay confrontation.
Sustained as to hearsay.
Not talked about just what the specific words the doctor said, but the fact that you know that this is permanent is enough, okay?
Yes.
What I want to ask you about now is, remember when we said you thought you had been shot once, but you found out you'd been shot a second time?
Right.
Tell the jury where you were shot in addition to the scapula that it broke.
I was shot in the lower back, towards the middle.
Is that the source of the nerve damage for your leg?
Yes, and it punctured my lung also.
The injury to your shoulder, what did they do to you to try to fix that?
I was operated on, and they put a plate in there.
That plate going to be in you forever, too?
Objection 403-401.
Overruled.
Yes.